Dear student, welcome to the biology class during this lockdown period. So today, from your first chapter, it is about the reproduction in organisms. We have divided all the chapter into two parts. So today we will learn about the basic things about the reproduction in organisms. So now, what is basically what is the reproductions? So reproduction is the basic phenomenon of all the living organisms. So as we know that the living organism shows some characteristic features like growth, like the mobility or the movement or locomotions, and there are some life processes also. So reproduction is also a basic phenomenon of all the living organisms, and it is linked with the continuity of the genetic materials. That means from one generation to the next generations, the genetic material will be passed from the parent generations to its present. So more than that, there is also the variations and evolutions takes place during the reproductions. Thus, the reproduction is essential for the continuations of all the living organisms of all the species. Now see, the reproduction is essential for all the organisms. Why? Because reproduction is essential for the multiplication and maintaining the identity of a species. So if a species have to live in this world, it need to multiply and it need to maintain its identity. Secondly, to introduce the variations among the individuals of any species and to maintain and inherit the genetic constitutions of the organisms. So for all these reasons, reproduction is essential. Now, if you see the features of reproduction, so as I have told you earlier, that the reproduction is the basic phenomenon of all the living organisms, and it is linked with the continuity of the genetic material, variation, and evolutions, and it involves some complex physiological and genetical processes among the living organisms. So, if you see the living organisms, like you understand who are the living, the organisms who show some characteristics like the movement, like the growth, like the reproductions are known as the living organisms. And if you consider these things, if you see the lifespan of different organisms have different lifespans. For example, the mayfly or the fruit fly have only one day. They will live in one day, and during this one day period, they will multiply. They will reproduce. Okay, so if you see the butterfly need 1 to 2 weeks to cover all its lifespan. And if you consider the human beings, it's about 100 years. And if you consider the banyan tree or fig tree, it takes about 200 years. So now this reproductions may occur from one part of the parental generations, or it may be two organisms taking part in the process of reproduction. So based on whether there is one or two organisms taking part in the reproduction process, the reproductions may be asexual reproductions and sexual reproductions. Okay. Now see, the asexual reproductions, as the name indicates, asexuals, that means that that's the non-sexual type of reproductions. And sexual reproductions, where the two different parents, that means a male and a female, will take birth, is known as the sexual reproduction. Now, in asexual reproductions, only one parents, that may be the mother or the father, that means the male or the female, will take personally involved in this asexual process of reproduction. But in case of sexual reproductions, two parents, that means the male and the female, will take part in the reproduction process. So, in case of asexual reproduction, as a result of this, there is no formation or fusions of gametes. Now, what is the gametes? Gametes is the sex cell. So, there is no production of sex cell in case of asexual reproductions. But in case of sexual reproductions, there is always the formation and fusion of the sex cell. That means the male sex cell and the female sex cell will fuse in case of sexual reproductions. You have learned in your 11th standard books about the cell divisions. There are two basic cell divisions like the mitosis and the meiosis. So, you know and you understand it better way that the mitotic cell division or mitosis always occurred in vegetative cell or somatic cell, or you can say the body cells. But in sex cells or reproductive cells, there always meiosis takes place. So, in case of asexual reproductions, there is always mitotic type of cell divisions. But in case of sexual reproduction, it involves the meiotic or meiosis type of cell divisions. Another very important thing of asexual reproduction is that individuals which are produced during asexual reproductions are genetically identical with the parent. That means from whether it is taken from the mother, male or female, it is identical with the parent plant or the parent organisms. And that is why they are also known as the clone. But in case of sexual reproductions, the individuals will show variations. So the offspring or the daughter generations will show a variation. Okay, so in asexual reproductions, that is, asexual reproductions are generally found in the lower group of organisms, which are relatively simpler organisms. They are very simple in their organizations. For example, if you consider the bacteria, if you consider the algae, fungi, or some lower group of plants and lower group of organisms, you can find the asexual kind of reproductions. And in case of asexual reproductions, as I have told you earlier, that the offsprings or the product is produced from the single parent, that may be from the male or from the female, and there is no involvement of gamete formations. That means there is no involvement of sex cell formations. No gamete formations takes place in case of asexual reproduction, and offspring produced are genetically and morphologically similar to each other. That means with their parents. That is, they are the clone. So this is the simple way. From one individual, this lots of individuals will produce in case of asexual reproductions without formation of gamete. Now there are different modes of asexual reproductions. For your syllabus, from your syllabus, it is mentioned about 5 different type of things, like the fission. Fission is a kind of asexual reproductions, then budding, spore formations, vegetative propagations, and another interesting thing is that the artificial vegetative reproduction in case of plants. So let us discuss this elaborately. So first thing is the binary fissions. So binary fission is the simplest way of asexual reproductions, where the parent cells divide into two daughter cells. Simple way. From one parent cells, it will divide into two daughter cells. If you see the amoeba, in case of amoeba, what it is there? The nucleus and the cytoplasm. So nucleus will divide into two parts, and the cytoplasm or cytokinesis will take place, and the cytoplasms will be divided into two parts. So as a result, from one amoeba you will get two amoeba. So this is a simple binary fission. Sometimes in other lower group of organisms like Entamoeba, you can see the multiple fissions. That means from one cell you can find lots of cells. Like in this diagram, you can see the Entamoeba, one cell, that is the nucleus, will divide into two. This is the formula of mitosis. From this two, you will get four. From this four, you will get eight numbers of nucleus. So ultimately, you will get eight number of antivirus. Okay, so this is the multiple kind of fission. Another kind of asexual reproduction is budding. What is budding? Bud. You know, the bud that is from the parent cell or the parent generation, a small cell or which is called as the bud will be fixed or will be separated out from the parent body. Okay, and this separated out bud will give you a new adult in the future. For example, hydra. Hydra will produce. If you see in this diagram, in the right side, you can find there is a bud, and this bud will give you a new kind of organisms or new daughter generations or new offsprings. So the example is hydra. Okay, another kind of asexual reproduction is spore formation. So spores are the microscopic basically. So in case of fungi or mushrooms and algae, different kind of aquatic algae, you can find this kind of specialized asexual reproductions. Okay, so the spores will be born in an sporangium, and during the after the maturity, this sporangium will dehiscence. As a result, the spore will released, and after getting suitable environment from these spores, a new organisms will develop. That means a new fungi or new algae will produce. So that is the spore formation. Now comes about the asexual reproduction in some other cases like structures like the motile microscopic juice spores. There are some organisms like chlamydomonas where you can see the spores which is known as the juice spores, and these juice spores are motile. That means they can move. Okay, so in case of conidia you can find where it is. You can find it in case of penicillium. So penicillium is also a kind of fungi. So in this species you can find a special kind of spores which are known as conidia. In case of hydra you can find buds. And one of the important reproductive structure or asexual reproductive structure is the gamete. So where you can find the gametes? Gametes you can find in the sponges. So sometimes in CBSE and state board examinations, question setters can ask you what are gametes and name one organisms which produced gametes. So as you have learned earlier, in case of hydra, the bud is produced, but that bud was external. So gamules is what? Gamules are the internal buds formed inside the parent body. Okay, so the best example of gamules is the freshwater sponges, which is known as spongilla. Okay, now comes about the asexual reproduction in case of the higher plants, in that which is also known as the vegetative propagules. There are different kind of vegetative propagules, like the runner, you can find in the auxiliaries, sucker in case of mint, and tuber in case of potato, offset in case of water hyacinth, bulb where you can find the bulb in case of onion or garlic, rhizome in case of ginger, bulbils in case of agave, and leaf bars in case of bryophylla. Now, these are the examples where you can see the tuber, that means the potato. You can see in the potato there are some eyes, and these eyes are actually the axillary bud because potato is a modification of stem. That means these eyes are the node, and from that nodal portions, new plants will appear. So, here is examples of bryophyllum, that is from the leaf new plants can be produced. Okay. So these are the examples of asexual reproductions in case of the higher organisms or higher plants. So there is a simple way you can think it like this. In single cell organism, what is the type of asexual reproduction? Simple. The binary fissions, the multiple fissions. In case of algae and fungi, what you will get? The juice spores, chlamydospores, and different kind of spores. So, in higher groups of organisms, like in green plants, what you can see, you can find the runner, rhizome, sucker, bulb, this kind of asexual reproductive structure. Now, above all, there are some artificial kind of vegetative reproductions also. Simply, if, if you were a hobbyist in planting different kind of flower plants in your backyard or at your home, what you do basically, you cut a part of a stem and put it in the soil, and after a few days, after a few months, a new plant will arise. So this is a kind of vegetative reproduction. So from one plant, you are getting more than one plant. So artificial vegetative reproductions uh, is a kind of asexual reproduction where vegetative propagation takes place through artificial mode or artificial propagation method. There are different kind of artificial propagation method like cutting. So what I have just told you, that you cut a stem sections of your stem and put it in the soil. For example, sugar cane. In the nodal sections, you cut a sugar cane and put it in the soil. You will get a new sugar cane plant. So this is a simple way of cutting. Now layering. Layering is a method of uh, putting the certain branches of a tree or a plant and bending it in the soil, and after a few days you can find that from the bent portions the root will arise, and that is a kind of layering. Okay, so this is also known as the banding and pegging them to the ground around the parent plant to get a new plant. So that is the layering. Then tissue culture. This is one of the most modified type of asexual reproductions, where a single cell or a single part of plants will give you a new plants. So the uh, what we do in case of tissue culture, we take a simple tissues from the plant, maybe from the leaf, maybe from the stem portion, basically from the leaf, and put it in a media in the laboratory conditions. Media is what? Media is the nutritions for the growing plant. That means the media contains different kinds of chemicals which will supply nourishment to the growing plant. So when you put the tissue in that media, this tissue will start to grow. And ultimately, from a single tissue part or single plant parts, you will get millions of plants within a very short time. And all this will be healthier. Okay, now see, grafting is also a kind of asexual kind of propagation. Grafting. Grafting is basically done in case of the dicot plant. That means dicotyledonous plants. Now, why it is not possible in case of monocotyledonous plant? This could be a question in your board examinations. So, grafting is not possible in case of monocot plant, because in case of dicot plant, if you uh, remember your cell chapter or tissue chapter of your first year, that means the class 11 standard, you can understand that in case of the dicotyledonous plants, there is a special kind of tissue which is known as the cambium. So cambium is a kind of meristematic tissue, okay, which is present in the vascular bundles. Vascular bundles means the xylem and the phloem. So in vascular bundles or surrounding in the vascular bundles, there is meristematic tissue. But in case of monocotyledonous plant, there is no such a kind of tissue. That is why the grafting is not possible in monocot plant. Okay, so you have to remember this answer for your board examinations. So thank you so much. So today's this chapter is about only the asexual part of the reproductions. So in our next class we will learn about the sexual reproductions in the living organisms. Thank you.